Swing dancing is a popular social dance style, and in this video, we're going to cover some of the most popular swing dance styles you'll see today, like the Lindy Hop, the Shag, the Jive, East Coast swing, and of course, the West Coast swing. We're going to touch on some swing dance styles like the Charleston and the Jitterbug, just so we understand how this whole swing dance craze evolved. I'm going to show you what they look like, we're going to talk about the differences and similarities, and more importantly, how you can get involved learning the ones you like. My name is Brian B., and I've spent the last 25 years of my life dancing and teaching all around the world, and these days, my passion is sharing social dance, and swing dance is the ultimate social dance. The basics are easy to learn, but your ability to use creativity and styling are what really make them shine. As you'll see in the next couple of minutes, music and youth really evolved dancing. So let's start our journey in the 1920s with the Charleston. Charleston's a fast-moving dance to music over 200 beats a minute. It can be done with a partner or solo. It had been around for a long time as a solo dance, but was popularized in 1923 through the stage production called Running Wild. It was on Broadway, it got in the press, and the Charleston became a hot new thing. It evolved to a partner dance in 1925, adopting a European closed partner position as ballroom dance studio instructors gathered at dance conventions to learn the new steps and bring them to their students, laying the foundation for the other swing dance styles you see today. Where can you learn the Charleston? Since it's a solo dance, it's easy to learn, and here's a great video to get you started. Next up is the Lindy Hop, maybe the most famous of the swing dance styles. Lindy includes 6 and 8 count patterns with lots of flips, kicks, swing outs to fast-paced music. To understand Lindy, we have to go back to the Savoy Ballroom in Harlem, which opened in 1912. The Savoy is where the best dancers of the day took the basic moves, added their own flair to help create what we see today. In 1927, Charles Lindbergh famously crossed the Atlantic from New York to Paris, and the name Lindy Hop was formed. Lindy Hop was obviously influenced by the Charleston. Maybe the biggest change came in 1928 when Shorty George Snowden introduced the breakaway position, making maybe the biggest change in swing dancing. While dancing in a Manhattan casino in 1928, George lost connection with his partner and played it off by dancing back to her, and the crowd went wild, forever changing American swing dancing. During the breakaway, dancers would spin their partners out and then dance back to them. Over time, the idea of sending their partner out to a one-hand hold became something you see in most swing dance styles today, but it might have all started with Shorty George. Lindy didn't catch on globally until the start of the Second World War in 1939, as American soldiers were shipped off around the world. The year 1928, however, brought us a dance called Shag. Shag is a smooth-looking dance done to 120, 110, 130 beats a minute range, and it evolved out of collegiate dance forms in 1920. Now, collegiate dances are just dance styles of the youth of the time. The Carolina Shag, as we know it today, is a hybrid of those dances, including one called the Little Apple, which was just like a Charleston with triple steps. Now, the term Carolina Shag was coined in 1920 by the University of North Carolina, and they called their dances shags, which was an old Scottish term which means to shake. Now, in the 40s, the Carolina Shag was also called the Carolina Jitterbug, so what's Jitterbug? If you were a swing dancer of the day, people would refer to you as a jitterbug, so all these different swing dance styles just became lumped into the term jitterbug. It's really just a slang term for swing dancers. If you want to learn the basics of jitterbug or what we call single-time swing, we have a great video here. Now, if you've watched Dancing with the Stars, you've undoubtedly seen and loved the Jive. Now, if you saw Jive or East Coast swing, they might look the same, but Jive's going to have more kicks and flicks, and the music speed is going to be much faster. Now, as Lindy Hop was becoming more popular around the world, the British dance masters thought it was entirely too wild for British sensibilities, and they refined it to something more agreeable to the English temperament. In 1938, a dance organization created a fundamental set of steps, and Jive was born. It went through more refinements in the 1940s. People traveled over and brought the roots of Lindy Hop back to the dance form. But it wasn't until the 1950s and the rock and roll craze of the 50s and 60s that Jive really caught on. Now, if you want to learn Jive, you can learn it in almost any dance studio in America and around the world. We've got a great video for you right here. Now, what is East Coast swing? East Coast swing wasn't exactly a dance at its inception. It was a term that was used to separate the swing dance styles on the East and West Coast of America at the time. And East Coast swing was really just a form of Lindy Hop. The first mention of the term East Coast swing came from Laurie Hale's Arthur Murray's syllabus in the 1950s, and the next revision came in 1957 when the Western swing syllabus was written down. 1958 is when it went from being called Eastern and Western swing to East Coast swing and West Coast swing. It evolved more in the fall of the Soviet Union in the 90s when we brought an influx of people to America that refined East Coast swing. Now you can learn East Coast, again, in almost any studio in America, or from our video right here. Now let's talk about West Coast swing. In the 1930s, a popular dancer named Dean Collins came from New York to California to make a name for himself in the film industry. He brought his style of Lindy Hop to the California dance scene, and back in the day there was no YouTube, and dancing evolved differently on the East Coast swing and West Coast swing. Dance teachers began calling it Western swing, but that confused people into thinking it was a country and Western dance. Around 1958, this West Coast version of Lindy Hop started to become universally known as West Coast swing, even becoming the state dance of California in 1988. Now, if you want to learn West Coast swing, you're in the right place. This is a great video to get started, and if you want to learn any of the other 20 social dance styles that are popular, we've got a website where we will walk you through step-by-step everything you need to learn so you can become a confident social dancer, so you can dance your way through life. We'll see you on a dance floor soon. Good enough.